All right, everybody. We have a special guest here with us on the Power Hour tonight. With us is the one and only Trikslyr, the man, the myth, the legend himself. With me on this interview is Mr. Stay Tight himself, DJTyrant. Trikslyr, buddy, how you doing?
Good. You just took me flashbacks to 2015 with the Stay Tight memes. That's still hanging around here?
It is.
Yeah.
Technically, it's 2016, but it was like January 2016.
No, it's 2015. We've been in it for years. It makes me feel old. That's what we're going with, 2015.
Okay, there we go.
I'm good. I'm good.
Goodness.
Thank you for the invite, really. It's really cool to be here, and I'm excited to talk about nerd stuff, man. Let's go.
So, okay, let's start it off at the beginning. Growing up, favorite games, what were they?
Oh God, we're going
way back.
We go way back on these.
I was not expecting my brain to go that quickly. Jesus, so you want first games that I started getting into? Man, so my gaming, what do you even call that? A career or adventure, whatever? Didn't actually start. I was a late bloomer until like Halo 2, Halo 3 times. But I did watch my dad play a lot of games like StarCraft Brood War. God, he played a lot of like these older like RPG games. I don't even know the names of them, but I could literally tell you they looked like Diablo, but they weren't Diablo. I would watch him play those all the time, older StarCraft, etc. But I actually started getting into gaming myself when my cousins got an N64 and they got GoldenEye 64, which was like the shiz back then. So I would bike my way over and I'd watch them play it. They didn't have enough controllers, so I never got to play. I was the witness in the background, just enjoying. I was the first like esport LAN watcher as I watched my two cousins play GoldenEye. And they would play like Mario 64 and stuff. But that was my peak in interest when it comes to gaming. And eventually, the USA Network actually put Halo 2.
I remember that.
Yeah, into a tournament format, and you could watch it weekly. And Final Boss was the team that I made sure no matter what, I tuned in for those games. And I watched Walshy and the Ogres.
Ogre and Ogre 2.
Yes! Destroy everybody. So those were really, really good times. It's eventually when I got my first console, which was the Xbox at the time, and then the Xbox 360. And eventually I hopped into Halo 2, Halo 3, and went on from there.
So I know a little bit about your history just because I've been involved in esports for a little bit as you have, but kind of take us through from like when you started with StarCraft 2 casting and eventually going to IGN and then Blizzard and then where you're at today.
Oh man, you might know it better than I do. You just like put it all out there.
Okay, well first, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you win a contest for the IGN thing?
That's actually, yeah, very true. So after I got done with Halo, I tried to like go professional in it. I played it for a little bit. I got to like semi-pro status, but never actually broke into like the top 8 of like MLGs or anything. But eventually Halo had its rise, and then it went to its fall. And the next big game for MLG was StarCraft 2. So StarCraft 2, I hopped into to play, and I quickly learned that I'm not Korean, and I am not good enough at beating everyone that wants to play that game. You know, I thought I was a god when I played 7-pool and beat people, but when I had to play macro games, I found out really quickly that my fingers did not move fast enough, and I noticed someone named Husky StarCraft. He was actually casting a lot of games at the time for StarCraft, and while I thought he was really good, I didn't feel like he was starting to do analysis of like builds and stuff, and I was doing a lot of research in that, so I was like, well, I can be maybe as funny as Husky, but maybe I can mix in some commentary here and there. And so I jumped into the commentary train, and gosh, I was ass at commentary. I thought I was going to be good. Can I cuss here? I thought I was going to be kind of decent at casting, and StarCraft was definitely where I was like super amateur at, and I did that for a couple of years on and off while working regular jobs, trying to play here and there. But eventually, as you mentioned, there was a contest in Las Vegas for IPL 4 going into IPL 5. And it was a elimination bracket for casting games. Top 4 would go to IPL 5 and actually compete live on stage to win a job in San Francisco. At the time, Nathanius, I think, was my biggest competition. We both made it to the top 4. We went in and we casted, and luckily through interviews and my cast at the event, I won a job over like an 8-week span to actually make it in esports, and that was like my first big break.
Well, I didn't realize it was Nathanius that you were competing against back then.
Yeah, and honestly, like looking back on it, I think he should have won. He was so much better at StarCraft than I was. I think I just did a little bit better in the actual interview process that happened afterwards. But regardless, he's an awesome caster, and I'm glad that he's made it where he's at nowadays. He's also getting really big on Twitch and doing very well in the StarCraft world. But yeah, so I won that job, and I was in San Francisco for 2 months under the new job. Life is going great. I moved across the world. Best thing ever. And then the news comes in that a new company had picked up IGN, and it was Ziff
Davis?
Ziff Davis, that's it, yes. Yeah. They took the company over, and they decided that IPL was not profitable enough, and they cut the entire division. So I had moved across the entire country, drove 34 hours, started a new life, sold everything I had in Kansas City, broke off relationships there, everything, just to go in on esports. And I find out that before I even cast my first live tournament, the org I was working for had gone under. And it was the worst feeling in the world, man. I felt really, really bad. Luckily, Mommy and Daddy Blizzard came in and were like, hey, we kind of like what you guys are doing. And they wound up picking us up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. It was such a good part of the story, too.
That's a storm.
Okay, hold on. Let's back it up real quick.
Rewind a little bit.
Let's rewind.
Sure.
Because we lost you there for a second. Let's go.
Daddy Blizzard just picked you up.
Yeah.
Daddy Blizzard picked us up. Okay, Daddy Blizzard picked us up. We did StarCraft content called the WCS Today. There's still videos online if you want to see me looking like I'm 19 and I have no idea what's going on in the world.
Were you a part of that? There was a bracket show one year where they drew the bracket live and had a whole production about that.
I remember working on it. I don't think I was a talent for it. I think I
it was like Jacqueline and Rob.
No, I was not a part of that one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
okay.
That was, I think, a year before it.
Just because they did that once, and I was bummed that they didn't do it more after that.
Well, you could tell Blizzard was in this mode of we want to make video content. We're not sure how we want to approach it, so they kind of looked for different solutions, and I think the IPL crew was one of those solutions, while they also had some in-house solutions, and they eventually came around to getting much better at it. But you could definitely tell there was a learning curve. But that was one of those things. And we did that too. We had WCS Today where we did that almost daily, and we had a 4-man crew, and gosh, man, the headaches we had. We would watch
it was you and Kevin Knock.
Kibbles, and then a couple of editing guys that were just completely talented. And we would watch 17 hours of content daily, try to condense it as quickly as we could, and then put it into a 4 to 8 minute show with a 4-man crew.
That's insane.
I loved StarCraft, but I got burnt out, man, really quickly. It got to a point where I could literally look at VODs. I would jump from 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes, 14 minutes, and I could tell you what builds were coming for which crew and who was going to win most likely if they microed correctly when it came to StarCraft. That's how quick I got out consuming VODs. It got really, really difficult, but eventually it fell through, and when it fell through, they decided to bring down a lot of the people from IPL down to Irvine, California, and they were going to start up people in different positions, and one of the positions that I was offered was Heroes of the Storm Community Manager, which I was excited for. At the time, I was playing a lot of League of Legends in between StarCraft rounds, and the idea of a Blizzard MOBA coming out just sounded phenomenal, and I was so on board, and so I definitely hopped on that opportunity.
That's wow, that was an incredible story right there.
It's super long.
Honestly, IPL was my first introduction to esports. I remember.
Was it?
Yeah, I remember staying up late at night watching Kevin and company cast.
Yeah,
that was how I went to bed nightly with Kevin.
That out of context sounds amazing. Actually,
someone clip that, please.
Yep, clip it, put it up. I don't care. The man, he's a beautiful man, and
he's been a great guy and a great mentor for a long time. I can't say nothing but positive things about Kevin, dude. I
think everyone in esports has a story with him. He spent one BlizzCon with me. After BlizzCon, spent half an hour with me just talking esports stuff and career stuff and everything.
Question: you said you were coming in around IPL 4. Now, was that Now, was that the tournament that had Stefano in it when he was on Zerg, and he was playing against a Protoss player? Like, we're reaching, and they mined the map out, and the Protoss finally won with, like,
I think
an
Archon. It was either 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, that was like at the end of IPL 4. It was the end of IPL 4 when the contest began, and it was IPL 5 that I went to cast.
Right.
But I do know what you're talking about, the moment where there was a big Archon toilet and everything, and they finished the entire match. I think it was Kawhi Rice, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Or was it Kiwikaki?
Or Kiwikaki, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It started with a K. We're on to it. We definitely know our esports.
There we go.
So, all right. Moving on. Is there anything you wish in your current position as the EU commentator? Is there anything you wish you could go back and bring back? All the Blues. Excuse me. That was a lot of fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah. That was a fun little thing to do. That was kind of one of the driving things that I got to do at Blizzard that nobody else was doing, was like trying to do like community outreach. I really believe that if you bring a whole bunch of people together, that people want to watch that and enjoy and celebrate like patch days and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I wish they would bring Brawl with the Blues back. I thought about doing it on my own time, but I'm too busy. Like, I got my own stream to look at. I got HGC Europe. Like, one of the things that a lot of people underestimate, they're like, why don't you just get all the 4 streamers together and just go play? And it's like, well, those 4 streamers all have their own schedules and their own plans and their own like goals that they want to do. Like, it's impossible to get people together. And I think working at like Blizzard, I had a little bit more pool available. I'd be like, hey, you guys want to show up? This is the only time we're doing it. They're like, yeah, I'll do it. But now I'm so busy that I can barely like just throw people, let alone myself, into like certain schedules. But I don't know, actually. I kind of agree. I kind of miss watching those. I hope Dylan or Ravnix kind of pulls us together next year, because he's new up and comer community manager. He could totally do it, and he would kill it. He's really skilled at the game.
All right, Jimmy, you got another question on deck?
Yeah, I've got a ton of questions. As far as casting heroes, what skills from casting StarCraft transferred over, and what was kind of new about casting a MOBA versus an RTS for you?
I think a lot of people think that casting is very easy to transition between games, and to some it might be good. Like a play-by-play commentator, I think, can do it better. One of the things that I like pride myself on is I really try to play the game that I am casting, and I'm actually invested in it. Like, I don't just cast it to cast it. If I'm casting it, it's because I enjoy that game and I play it and I want to be a part of it. Going from StarCraft to Heroes, the tempo changed dramatically in how you would commentate a match. So StarCraft, the first 2 minutes, you would do a 9 to 11 supply check and say, okay, is a proxy going to happen? Is there going to be any TPTs happening? No. Okay, here's a story that I can talk about for the next 2 minutes, and set up the mid-game that will be happening around the 12-minute mark. And with Heroes, that changes dramatically. Now suddenly, instead of a 1v1 that's happening with certain builds that are set up and how they counter each other and how engagements will occur and how the high ground is handled, you have one player plus 9 other players trying to work together as a team to find the synergy. They have power spikes at 10, 20, 13, 16, depending on some compositions, and you need to figure out how you, A, keep up with the action, but B, interject a little bit of information as you go forward. One of the things that I learned with Heroes is that when you're commentating, you're not going to give everybody all the information about that match in one match. It's that simple. You're going to glaze over some things, and if you can teach them 1 to 2 things per match, that's totally okay, because there's too much going on in the game. Whereas StarCraft, I felt like you could really set the basis for everything and then kind of have fun afterwards and put like a storyline or an emotion with the commentary. So the big change up is that you have to let things go going from StarCraft into Heroes, because there's too much crap going on, man. It's too much action, especially with it just being a game that has no laning.
Good, and it's a really good point about the game that it doesn't have any laning phase. You know,
yeah.
There's no. Let's wait for Shadow Fiend to farm up, and then we can he can rotate out a mid, and I really shouldn't talk trash about Dota 2, because that's getting me an extra paycheck right now.
Look at this guy trying to dip into other waters and causing a ruffle here. Look at him.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
I'm holding.
I've got a nice little Beyond the Summit chair.
Ooh, fancy, nice.
sent by them themselves, because I've been their lead mod for 6 years, and
there you go.
I asked for a chair, and LD is like, okay, here's a chair. So, and now I'm getting paid because I'm one of their match admins now. So,
Nice.
but
Congrats.
yeah, it's the least they could do for me. But so the current meta in the HGC.
Sure.
What hero isn't being played that you would love to see come in?
Oh wow, was not expecting that, because there is two different worlds and two different sides of the coin when it comes to like what heroes I want to be played and what heroes realistically should not be played in competitive play. Like, you guys know about the Ragnaros like lava wave meme. Like that was born from Hero League, because I think there are people in Hero League that just don't play the game. And I'm like, all right, well, if I am able to soak a different wave, but also help my team fight at the same time, Ragnaros is like the perfect answer. But he doesn't work in competitive play. He doesn't have a body for actual fights. He can be dived upon, and he has too much wind-up time, especially when it comes to his Molten Core that can be punished heavily. When it comes to competitive play, the meta is in a bit of a weird spot where time to kill is kind of drawn out, first off, thanks to double support. But in terms of an actual hero that I want to surprisingly show up, I think with BlizzCon around the corner, I think the Zul'jin rework is good enough to where we could see him a lot if we were to have somebody to surprisingly jump up pretty more often. I think he's the hero that I would pick going into the tournament to keep an eye out for. Obviously, there's Ana too. I think Ana's going to make it too, because I feel like she's a bit busted, honestly. But
she is in a double support
sure.
comp. She is just outright violent in a double support comp where she's the secondary healer. Like, it's vicious what she can do.
In a coordinated environment, being able to remove 100% healing from a target, pretty good.
And her Sigdar is the most annoying thing to fight into. Being able to like get an advantage in a fight, you finally edged out the small inch. You're like, all right, we're in a spot where we can push this team. And she's like, no, just pops out of sleep, gets the penetration at level 1, and suddenly two people are just like, all right, well, that push is completely done. It's basically a miniature Mighty Gus and disengage. Like, you just stop the entire team from coming your way. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, in a coordinated environment, it's definitely going to be super powerful. But random Hero League game, you got that one guy. I'm going in now. They're asleep. Let's go. And no, half our team's at like a quarter HP. What are you doing?
He's making plays. Get off his back. You don't understand the high level strats that he's pulling off. Okay, you're flaming the wrong person here, buddy.
So,
yeah,
Jimmy, you better ask this one, because I'm gonna troll it up if I ask it.
Oh, I don't even know which question you're
okay.
pointing towards then.
Here,
oh my goodness!
Here we go.
Go for it.
So, if you could have any character in the Blizzard universe come into the Nexus, why would it be Dustin Browder?
Because he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy. Dustin Browder is a legend, man. I think, honestly, like, he could come into the game and have only one ability, just drop rocks on the field, and people would probably play him. Like, I would play him. I probably wouldn't win that often, but I would play him. As long as he had his VA. If he had a voiceover from the actual Dustin Browder himself, and he just had all of his lines, because that guy just inspires you, man.
Yes.
Like, he could be talking about anything, and you're like, you know what, Dustin? I agree with you. I think ice cream is disgusting. You are correct. Thank you so much, Dustin. Like, I don't know, man. That guy is he's an amazing person. So, you know what? Put him in the game. I'm down.
There you go.
All right.
I had a quick question just about HGC in general, and maybe pulling the curtain back on the production a bit. Who of the cast is the jokester of the group, playing pranks or whatnot? I want to say J-How. Yeah, who's the goofball? I want to say J-How, but...
Oh, you're talking about all of HGC.
Just all HGC, yeah.
J-How is a resident goofball.
Who's made you laugh the hardest, I guess?
I honestly... This might be a question, or it might be an answer that you wouldn't expect, but I think Grubby actually makes me laugh the most. He is the driest sense of humor. That he's the guy that, like, when he says a joke, you know he thinks he's funny, and that makes it more funny to me. Like, whenever he says something, I don't know. Grubby's been like good people to me for like the last couple of years, and when he says something funny and he has like a little glint in his eye, like he knows he's being hilarious, like that makes it 10 times more funny. Surprisingly, a lot of people actually think. I'm just gonna go on about all the casters, I guess. Surprisingly, a lot of people think that like Kaldor is like this big buff butthead sometimes. Like he's like so German it hurts. but he's actually really freaking funny too, man. Like when he gets going about certain things that he's like super passionate about, like he's pretty darn hilarious. So I don't know. Those would be my top 3 that I think would surprise you in terms of humor. J-How, Caldor, and Grubby.
Speaking of Caldor, the video, the little skit you guys made.
Yeah,
I've done some video production myself with some roller derby skits. Like, how long did that little skit take? How many takes did you guys have to do for you to get that run just right?
Are you talking about the actual physical run or the entire run thing? Because that dumb run
the physical run and the whole thing itself.
So the run, they made me do 6 different types of runs, like serious runs, goofy runs, and of course they chose the dumbest one with me flailing my arms. Like I had a couple of like the first 2 were like serious runs, the 3rd and 4th one were runs I thought were funny, and then like the 5th and 6th one were like, all right, just go all out and just be stupid. And so you see me flailing my arms, and of course they go with that one. Between all the takes, I think we did each scene, so there's like 7 scenes each with different camera angles, at least 4 to 6 times, just to make sure that we had all the angles in the cut. So like Caldor dived into that bush 6 to 7 times in that scene. Lucky he didn't ruin it. The funny thing is that Doomhammer, the anecdote of that is that it was actually, it's the real Doomhammer. It's like that $300 one that's like super freaking heavy. And Caldor's a buff guy, and about 6 takes in, he's like, okay, my shoulder is kind of getting beat up here, like holding this thing constantly. I felt so bad for him to carry it around. And then we afterwards did some posts where like we made the voices, like me running and the screaming and stuff. We did those probably like 3 or 4 times each. So it was a good 2 to 3 hours of work, I would say, getting it together for a 30-second clip, plus all the editing that we didn't even touch.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that is a huge portion of it, is just editing everything out where you like it.
Yeah.
Taking things back to HGC though, proper. Who's going to take HGC this year at BlizzCon? Is EU going to stay up their ground and continue their dominance from mid-season brawl, or we're going to see Korea take it?
I honestly really think so. I think MVP Black is looking scarier than ever, even scarier than last year when they were absolute beast. So even with that being said, I still think Fnatic and Dignitas, to a degree, are going to be in the top 3 no matter what. And I don't know if that's part of me just because I cast EU all the time, but I truly think like European Heroes is like the best way to play the game.
What makes them so good then?
I like the control and the decisiveness in a lot of situations. Like you watch North America, and again, I'm not like trying to come here and like crap on North America. Like,
we do it all the time in the show.
Well, yeah, I know. I always feel bad because like those players are like trying their hardest, man. Like one of the things that I care about when it comes to like commentary is like after playing Halo for 2 to 3 years, even though I didn't get that far, I knew how much work I put into it, not even to become a professional. And so I get an idea and a sense of like how much work they put into it. And so I always feel bad when I'm like, well, North America, they just suck, right? Like they're just not on the same level and they make too many mistakes. And there are moments when they peter patter around way too much in shot calling. I think shot calling in North America needs to be leveled up a bunch. And I think part of that comes from teamwork. And also just being a cohesive unit, which a lot of teams are starting to get there. Like Roll20 is looking great. Team Freedom, to a degree, is becoming stellar, especially when it comes to late game team fights. I think they're getting better at the early game too. Like there is some major progress when it comes to North America, but they're not at that level when it comes to the international stage. So I look at EU, and that's all they've worked on for the last 2 years. You go watch VODs for the last couple of years, it's always been about discipline and trying to control themes and punish your opponents. And with HGC coming out, they've gotten much better at it. And there are moments when you look at a situation that's, okay, if they try to fight this, they either are going to win it hard and snowball the game, or they're going to lose hard. There's no in between. And they're willing to take those moments and not gamble on them and pull off and wait to another moment to where they can make that situation work for them. And I think that's why it makes them so good. Fnatic, again, just being on a different level, their execution and their ability to force mistakes out of people are very unmatched when it comes to the international stage. You saw that at the MSB. So I expect EU to walk away with a victory. And if it's not EU, I could see a world where MVP Black does make the stellar run at BlizzCon. And even though they didn't do so hot at the MSB, they might do well here at BlizzCon.
Now, is there any room for a potential dark horse run out of NA?
I mean, I'm always pulling for it, right? Like,
Yeah.
one of the weird things about being a commentator for Europe is I naturally cheer for them because I think that they're more skilled. But I've known North America for 2 to 3 years. Like, I've played with them in HL. Like, I know a lot of the players firsthand. I've been around them a lot, so I want them to do well. If there was going to be a dark horse run, I would probably put it on either Roll20 or Team Freedom. I don't think Tempo has the juice as a roster to do it. They've proven themselves not to do it, 3 times now at international events? They always seem to flop. And part of it is when they get on LAN, there's something off with the team when it comes to a killer instinct. And you need that killer instinct in a tournament, period. So if they can find that, they could definitely become a dark horse. But right now, with history and the way that they've played, I don't think they can.
Good. Yeah. All right. Good answer, Jimmy. You got another question lined up?
Yeah. Looking forward though, what would, if you were, say you were in charge of HGC, what kind of changes would you make for 2018 going forward with the league format?
Oh God, that's a loaded question that I was not prepared for.
If you're not comfortable with it, we can move on to something else though.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with no, I got a question. I got an answer. More skits. There you go. That's what
there we go.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a really, really hard question that I think warrants like a lot of thought into it, and I just wasn't prepared for it. So
okay.
Call me a slacker. Go ahead.
Nah.
Yeah.
I will ask about your growing bow tie collection.
Yeah. Yes.
Not many people can pull a bow tie off, and you're doing it rather admirably.
I have moments where I think you just gotta be like full goofball. Even if you think it looks dumb, you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear this, and I'm not gonna be able to breathe, but I don't care. I don't know. When it came to like getting dressed up for the events or whatever, we like try to have somewhat of a different style. Like Caldor's got the vest going on, Dread's got like the sexy appeal. I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw a bow tie on. I'll just be the goofball of the group, and yeah, it works, man. We've been grabbing one every 2 to 3 months, and I would say I have about 11 bow ties now, and my girlfriend's just all into it, man. She's like, she went to Iceland and she comes back with like 2 bow ties. I'm like, you couldn't got me a postcard or something, or like some chocolate? Like, thank you for the bow tie. They were nice bow ties though, and we wore them a couple times.
There you go. So I believe I'm out of questions at this point. If Jimmy, if you've got any more, now's the time to ask them.
Can you say stay tight and we'll see you real soon?
You want me to drop your line?
Yeah. Yes.
What if I screw it up?
Well, I screwed it up, so.
All right, here we go. What's the line? Stay tight. See you next time.
And we'll see you real soon. We'll see you real soon.
All right, that's it here. Stay tight, and we'll see you real soon.